The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
The mind of Pat Popolizio is a wondrous thing. And for you Pack wrestling fans, you'll get to go inside the mind of the Skip each and every episode here on the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Now, here's your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. I am your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt. And back here in the Raleigh office, we have Pat Popolizio.
Glad you could finally join us, Ryan. I know Pat, it's a hard trip on you last week.
I was going to say, Pat, good to see you. I've seen you a lot lately.
Yes.
Yesterday was nice. I had a day away.
Full day. It was good. Yeah. I needed it.
But we're back. I mean, I might have a little bit of a cold. It's still me, but we're here.
You got to build that immune system up.
You go up to New York, you expect good food, you come back 5 pounds less, and you come back with a cold. Yep. It's traveling with Pack Wrestle.
Yeah, that's good. We grinded it out.
First 2 weeks, extremely busy. No competition this week. It's Thanksgiving. Are the guys catching their breath? Are you catching your breath? What's going on here up at the NC State Wrestling Room this week?
Yeah, it's been last 4 weekends have been nonstop action. Obviously, I think first one started with a recruiting trip, then the wrestle-offs, then our open tournament weekend and the duels there, and then up to New York. So it will be nice to be here in town in Raleigh, get 2 days to kind of regroup, readjust, and get ready for Vegas.
What are your Thanksgiving plans?
Stay here in Raleigh. I actually just picked up my turkey. I got a 14-pound turkey. So we'll be cooking that one.
Oven or deep fryer?
Come on. You already know that answer.
I know, but I just wanted the answer.
It's a health
deep fryer, so the guys.
Deep fry is good, but I'm going with the health side of things.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving. I don't think I'll make it to your place. I didn't get that invite yet.
You always are invited. You know that 24/7.
But catch us up here. Lots of action, like I said. First home duel, ODU. The home duels in November, December in Raleigh, in Reynolds, maybe a little bit less of a crowd. I thought that crowd was great. That was one of the loudest environments I've heard.
Yeah, I think, we're starting to really grow that fan base here, and that's very important to what we're trying to accomplish as far as continuing to build, and having people in the stands is critical. And I felt like we had a really good crowd there. It was loud. There was good energy, and the guys could feed off that.
ODU always comes down here tough. They won 3 of the first 4. Then you guys got back-to-back majors. I want to point out Tyree Houghton, that pin at 197. That was a huge pin, really swung the momentum.
Yeah, that was really big. Starting off a little flat, and hats off to ODU because they came in ready to battle, and it showed across the board. They got a really tough team. And, it was the first time for our guys weighing in and wrestling on a 1-hour weigh-in, so we were getting in a routine, and we want to be tested all year. That's the goal, is for these guys to be tested and keep getting better. And we definitely got better from that competition, and it prepared us even more for when we were on the road wrestling Cornell and Binghamton.
In that ODU duel, both Hayden and Tariq, very tough matchups. Hayden faced the number 4 guy. Tariq faced the number 14 guy. They both got takedowns really late in their matches. Both won those. Were you happy to get them that first ranked guy out of the way early this season, start off with a top opponent?
Yeah, they're at that level. They know what they need to do to win. They have experience. So it's not like they got to get their feet wet with some certain competition. So those guys are ready to go. They've been competing for a while now. So it was good. Winning matches right now is most important. And then if you're doing it against high-level guys, that's even better for the end of the season when it comes down to seeding at the NCAA tournament. That's going to be critical, is to continue to have high-level wins.
And that weekend, we had the Wolfpack duels over in Carmichael, won all 3 of those. Then over to Sunday, I've never seen so many Wolfpack entries in it before, but the Wolfpack Wrestling Club Open. Did you make it over there for that one? I don't think I saw you
for
on
the finals, though.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I was there all day.
I didn't get
all
to see
weekend.
you. I didn't get to see you on Sunday. I was hoping you made it over to the Open.
That's because you came in late. You were sleeping in.
I heard the national anthem. I was there.
All right, good.
5 titles: Camacho, Trombley, Tariq, Hayden, and Thomas Bullard. I know we're going over this really quick, but impressions of the Open. There are so many matches, and I think you guys had almost your full squad except for one or two guys compete in that.
Yeah, I guess the mentality this year is to compete hard and compete against high-level competition. And so I feel like the tournaments are going to prepare us for that more than ever. And the type of team that we have needs these kind of tournaments. So that's why you're seeing a lot of guys wrestle in our Open, Vegas, the Scuffle, and it's going to prepare us when we're ready to compete at the ACCs and NCAs.
Going up, we were up in New York last weekend, at Cornell, at Binghamton. 2 duels, same day. I think our fans wanted to know, Trent Hidlay, obviously huge weekend, 2 top 5 foes. Cornell, he was the first match. Binghamton, he was the last match. How did it fall where he was going to wrestle, or how did you guys decide on this start?
New rules, you're allowed to flip before weigh-ins, and the winning team gets to choose the weight, and we just felt it was best to start there, get momentum going. Trent was ready, knew that was a big match, and just kind of change things up a little bit. See, I think that's what makes duels interesting, is there is sometimes, a little bit of that game planning going into it. It's also game planning who gets choice in the set. There's a lot to it outside of just going out there and wrestling. And, at the end of the day, you do have to just go out there and wrestle and win. So that's the biggest part. But sometimes you can get that kind of mentality out of, hey, we want to start here first. Maybe we want to end. And the Binghamton one, we both agreed that was going to be a great match, and it ended up being an awesome match to watch and see 2 guys compete at a very high level with great intensity. So we figured we'd end with that match, and it was great. And we got 2 duels in, and what we want to do is when you're in position to do this, travel, compete, travel again, and compete. Yes, it's not realistic. It's not what it's going to be at the NCAs, but I think it prepares our guys long-term to deal with any adversity that's thrown their way, and that's kind of why we're doing some of these trips.
There was a lot of travel. Stayed in Ithaca, my first time up there.
It was good.
That hotel we stayed at, I know you don't have bonus points to that hotel.
Yeah.
I was a little curious about the choice.
I'm just glad I didn't hear you complain about it at all, between the food, the travel, the lack of sleep that you got, because that's the first thing I saw in the mornings, you complaining that you just got off a flight from football.
Got back at 4 a.m., got on my next flight at 9 a.m.
Good, and we were up at 3:45 on Sunday morning.
That was a quick turnaround, but it was good to get out of there, get home, watch the Sunday football game.
It was perfect. That's why we did it.
Trent Hidlay, his first match, he defeated number 5, 7-5, very late takedown. Very contrasting styles there. I think Trent, the other guy probably had about a foot on him, it seemed
easily.
Like. Very skinny. Gave Trent a different look, though, obviously, than what he's used to at 84.
Yep, and that's what makes wrestling unique, is you got totally different styles when guys are out there competing sometimes, and there's no right or wrong way to compete and win, and it's unique, and that was a good thing. We get to see something different, and how do you game plan for that? It's kind of hard, and no matter what, you can sit there all day long and know this guy does this or that. You still got to stop it and figure out how to score on people. So that's what it comes down to, and it made us better. I think it was one of those, we might have been a little bit cautious in certain positions, and they're going to see each other again, whether it's next weekend or at the NCAA tournament. So we got to be ready for that.
In that Cornell duel, it was tied 9-9 after 5 bouts. NC State won the final 5. Big win up at 174 to close it out. Very last match. Daniel Bullard upset number 10 Womack. Former All-American. He was ranked 10th in the country. What went into Daniel getting that start, and how good of a win was that for him?
Yeah, I think it goes back to our Open and seeing, who had some better wins at 74. It's what we went with there. And, we're at that point where we got to have guys producing at all weights. So whoever's beating higher level guys is going to get the nod for this program. It doesn't matter who's returning, who's done what. It's who's ready right now. And Daniel hasn't been improving since the first match wrestle off and then the Open. I think he's making some good strides right now. So that was good. And it was a good quality win. He's fixing things that we've been working on in the room, and it's showing when they're out there competing, because he's, competing at a high level with at least effort, and we just got to keep fine-tuning the technical side of things.
Over to Binghamton. You guys got something to eat. I was working the whole time in between, but you guys had a nice little sit-down meal.
I saw a candy bar wrapper come out of your pocket, so.
Made the quick 1 hour drive. Am I correct? Was that your first time back up there since you left?
It's been a while. Yeah, I would say it's probably close to 7 years being back there. So
it was dark out. We couldn't see anything. Anything change?
No, it looked nice. I think they've put new things up. There's a couple buildings popped up there, a couple new restaurants it looked like. Okay. So, yeah, it's cool. Nice little town, little city. We
were in the arena right after a men's basketball game. So, nice setup. Pretty good crowd, too. It was loud in there for some of their matches. But once again, 9-9 after 5. But NC State won the final 6 in that one. 4 straight bonus points there right in the middle. Grippy, Hayden, and both Bullards all went back-to-back majors. How big of wins were those for all those guys?
Yeah, it goes back to the 2 duels we wrestled that day, and you want to talk about a momentum killer is, getting pinned in one of the first 2 matches, and that is, you dig yourself a hole, and then you got to work yourself out of it, and that's what this team did. And sometimes in duels you get a little momentum going, and it works in your favor. And I think we saw a little bit of that in both duels, and it is. The key to this team this year is going to be getting those bonus point wins when it comes time for tournaments. And we've got to, if we're in position to do that, we've got to get the major tech pins for NCAA tournament when it comes. And right now, that's something we're pushing hard for. So it will happen all year.
I know the answer to this one, but I like to push your buttons sometimes.
Perfect.
What do you like better? Our setup here, 2 officials, instant replay, or another school, 1 official, no replay?
So they technically had replay at the 1, but I just felt the quality of being able, if you can't see the score in the video, I don't see the point of having video review. And if there's only 1 ref, you're going to miss a ton of the action and it won't be consistent. So we elected to not use it in Cornell. And then Binghamton, I don't think we fell in position at all to have it. But the 2 refs, I think, it's got to happen for our sport. We're at that level. There's too many close, good matches to not have 2 officials out there. Most importantly, 1, to protect the athletes when they get in scrambles, because there's sometimes a ref's out of position and guys' knees getting twisted up or shoulder. So we can stop that. And then, the high-level wrestling, things are flying fast. So it's on the fly, making quick decisions. And sometimes refs can't see everything, being a little bit out of position. And I know here at home we always have 2 officials just so we don't miss those things. And it would be nice if that's something that gets mandatory across the country.
That was good. Our bench, we had about 30 officials making certain calls during certain bouts.
Yeah, we definitely, a couple stall calls that we threw out there too, for and against us.
All right, Thanksgiving weekend, your guys are off. What was the message that you sent them home with?
Let's get better. We got a very competitive team, very aggressive team. And we've got to continue to stay disciplined. And that's the key right now is guys staying focused. You get through Thanksgiving, you got to come back, wait and check, mentality the same. It's a quick turnaround, getting ready for Vegas. So these guys know how to compete. They want to compete. And we just got to be patient through the process and continue to get better and make a strong run here as the season continues.
You keep mentioning Vegas. That's the Cliff Keen Invitational, December 6th through December 7th in Las Vegas. What's the setup of that tournament?
I think it's similar to what you're going to get maybe day 2 at the NCAA tournament moving forward. So, you're on, I want to believe 8 mats maybe. It's been a while since I know we went out there first or second year out there when we were here. So it's been a while being back there, but I know there's a round break, around a break. There's a lot of time in between the rounds. So it's very similar to day 2 of the NCAA tournament. That's what we want. Back-to-back weigh-ins. Want guys to take notes, get in a rhythm, whatever it is, what they're going to eat after day 1, what they got to do for day 2. We're hitting a couple different tournaments, so we'll be ready and well prepared come NCAAs.
This is not an open, correct?
That is correct. So 10 weights are 10 guys, 1 per weight, and team scoring. So
that's another thing. You can only have 1 guy per weight.
Yep.
There.
You can't enter 2 guys at the same weight. So,
okay. But it's also, in my opinion, I'm very biased, one of the top tournaments every year. How top heavy is this year's field?
I think this is probably the tournament of the year here. When you look at a couple of the weight classes, 1 where we need to get better at and make some moves, and then 2, some where we're going to get tested, where maybe we're the better guy and you got people gunning for you. So that's what we wanted. I want to put these guys in very tough situations this year because I know mentality-wise we have it, and want to continue to grow in that aspect. But we got a really good group that's going to go out there, and I know we're going to compete hard.
Going here, we're going to be hitting the Vegas. You got the scuffle and obviously a lot of duels. You're still leaving a little bit of wiggle room at some of these weights. How much competition is there for the starting spot at some of these weights for yourself?
Yeah, it's still open, but I like the progress we're making at 33. Even though we didn't get what we wanted this past weekend, I saw a lot of good things, and I know it's experience. It's going to be a little time. It's going to be a little bit of patience with a freshman and somebody that's got the right mentality and attitude, but I'm confident over time we're going to be very good at 133. 49, I loved what I saw out of both guys, so we have two really good options, and again, we got to have somebody step up there. They did both this past weekend, and that it's going to take some time to figure that weight out still. And 97, I know, Tyree's doing a great job right now, and he's continuing to get better, and Renan's close to being ready to go, but we're going to take our time on that because, again, I think he's in position to do very well at the NCAA tournament, and most importantly is making sure he's 110% when we throw him out there to compete and not 90%. And I think right now he's close to 100, and it's going to take some time to gain that confidence back to go out and compete. So we'll ease him in there. And 74, we got two really good guys battling it out. But I like the progress that Daniel's been making. I think he's shown that, when you can beat a top 10 guy, you're knocking on the door to be an All-American and compete to win that national title.
Pat, there's been so much NC State wrestling action. Appreciate you catching us up. Hopefully you can get a little break. Go enjoy all of those desserts that you always have on Thanksgiving.
Same, you too. And make sure you save your per diem money for Vegas.
Pat, thanks again. Looking forward to Las Vegas. Thank you for catching us all up.
All right, talk to you.
All right, joining us now in the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, a return guest, Trent Hidlay. Trent, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Busy weekend. I let you lay low for a day. Glad you could come back, join us on the podcast. Every time you're on the podcast, you like to tell us your stories about eating. Went up to New York, the world of food.
Yeah.
Anything good?
Oh, yeah, we had a lot of good food. When we touched down in Ithaca, we went right to, I believe it was called the Ithaca Bakery, and everyone got sandwiches, and Hayden and I got a nice hoagie to get ready for that workout. So that was really good. We stopped at another bakery after the Cornell match and got another sandwich. And after the Binghamton duel, they had food catered to us, and that was good. So yeah, they treat us pretty well on the trips.
A lot of New York guys went on this trip. Did they convert you to a bagel guy?
I actually didn't have any bagels, but I know Deontay was talking about the bagels a lot and getting goofy with it.
There was a lot of talk about bagels. I thought they might have influenced you a little bit.
No, I mean, I always like bagels. I can go for anything.
I saw your family made it up there.
Yes.
How good was it to have your family on, actually not even in Reynolds, but actually come to some road duels?
Yeah, that was awesome. We had a big following, and a lot of my family and friends came up from Lewistown to watch the duels, and that was really cool to see and have them in the crowd cheering us on, and that means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to Hayden to have our parents and some of our aunts and grandparents, and my girlfriend and her family came up, so that was really cool to have their support.
Going back, very first ODU in Reynolds, how was it your first time in Reynolds in the red and white singlet?
It was spectacular. I loved every bit of it. Everything you really dream of, wrestling in Reynolds and getting the crowd on their feet and wrestling well. I think everything went pretty much how I wanted it to, and I was able to wrestle pretty well and get some bonus points for the team. And the team wrestled great, and it was good to finally put on the Wolfpack singlet and put on a show for the crowd.
I think you went first. You got that major. Hayden had the number 4 guy a few matches earlier. One thing I've noticed, you two really get into each other's bouts.
Yeah.
How glad are you that there's at least 2 weight classes separating? So once you guys get high for each other, you can kind of calm down and get ready for your match.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful. I know in high school when we wrestled back to back, it was really stressful for us because it's like you're trying to coach one match, and then right after that match, you're heading out in the mat to wrestle. So, and that's one thing I've had to work on a little bit, is try not to get as caught up in his matches as possible, because it does stress me out. I get really animated during it. But yeah, it's good we have the bowlers to separate us a little bit and before I hit the mat.
I think I can assume you're a little more the vocal one of you and Hayden, but Hayden really gets in your corner too. I've never heard him talk loud. Can you hear him when you're out there?
Yeah, I definitely hear him. And I think that's because he knows how I wrestle, and he's got a very good wrestling mind, and he can see things during matches that maybe I won't be able to see, or certain other people won't see. And he knows, like I said, he knows how I wrestle. So I'm always listening for little bits of advice during the matches to maybe look for a different attack or change up the way I'm wrestling.
First road trip. You did the Red Shirt Circuit last year. I'm not even counting that stuff. How did your first road trip with NC State Wrestling go?
It was fun. I think it was nice not having to worry about bringing your own food and getting your own hotel and caring for yourself. But it was really fun, and I enjoyed the time with the team. And I think it's something that brings the team closer together, traveling together and sharing those times. But yeah, we had a great weekend, and everybody was firing on all cylinders, and it was good to get the coaches to pay for some of your food.
Not too bad. You got a little bit of per diem too.
Yeah.
This team doesn't rent a bus. We take vans and cars. You got Coach Hall's minivan.
Yes.
What kind of driver is Coach Hall?
You know what? He was a little aggressive on the back roads to get to Cornell, and Hayden and I were a little worried when we first got in there. I thought we were gonna go flying a little bit, but yeah, he's aggressive. But I know he's lived in New York City for a little bit when he was at Columbia, so I think he knows what he's doing in those high stress situations. So I let him go. Everybody
got there. You might have banged around on the side of the car a little bit, but everybody got to it.
Yeah, it was good. Whenever we were in a van, we were a little cramped in the back. So on the way to Binghamton, on the way back from Binghamton, or on the way to Binghamton and on the way back to Ithaca, Hayden and I made a little fortress in the back seat of the van with the team bags, and we goofed around a little bit in the back seat. But yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. It's always fun travel. A little adversity. Pat loves it. But
yeah, adversity doesn't hurt anybody.
Going in the weekend, you knew you had 2 top 5 foes. I want to say, did you put pressure on yourself? What did you think going in about this opportunity?
I was excited for it. I knew that being on this team and being at the 184 spot, that I was going to have these opportunities throughout the year, and that was something I was excited about to see where I was at and test myself against some of the best guys in the country. And I think that's the coaches wanted to put us in a position with this year on our schedule. We're going to see the top guys, and we're not going to shy away from anybody. And it was an opportunity this weekend that I want to take advantage of and really just see where I was at against, some of a former All-American and 2 of the top 5 guys in the weight class. So, I was really excited for it, and I knew I was prepared to wrestle. So I just wanted to let it fly and really just see where I was at in the mix of things.
2 duels. First was at Cornell, second at Binghamton. Cornell, you started the duel. Binghamton, you ended the duel. What did you prefer, first or last?
I think for me, I'm ready to go at any time. I know for the Cornell duel, the coaches and I talked about it, and going first was something that I wanted to do. I was excited for the matchup, and I think having me go out there first was good for me and to get the team started off on a good note. So that's something we talked about, and before the duel, they asked if that was something I wanted, and it was. So I was ready to go first. And for the Binghamton duel, me and DePrez were the marquee matchup. So I think for the fans and for the sport to have that be the last match was a good move, and I was on board with that. Like I said, it doesn't matter to me. I'll wrestle, whenever during the duel. But I think it was good. A little bit of lead up into the last match. It was good for the fans.
Cornell, you beat number 5 Darmstadt 7-5. Going out there, shaking his hand, looking up at him. He's about 8 feet tall.
Yeah,
totally different body shape than yours. What did you think just looking across the mat when you first saw him?
Yeah, it was when it first kind of hit me a little bit was when we were at weigh-ins and we were standing beside each other. I was like, okay, this kid's like 3 feet. This guy's like 3 heads taller than I was. So that was a little eye-opening. But I think I didn't want to let that kind of change anything of what I was wrestling. I obviously know he's very talented and he does some kind of funky stuff, and he uses height as an advantage. But I just wanted to stick what I was good with, and once you get on the mat, you just kind of let it fly. I
think you got that first takedown about 10 seconds in. Did he open up, or was that your game plan? How did that first takedown come about?
Yeah, I like to attack early. I mean, it's no secret of what I do, and I like to get out there and score first and do that early and often. But yeah, he's definitely given me some feels I've never felt before, and in a few positions that really opened up to me that I got to work on when I wrestle guys like that, and I'm sure I'm going to see him down the road. So I know he's going to be ready for me, and I got to be able to make adjustments and game plan for those kind of guys.
And then going in late, it was tied 4-4. He had ride time blocked. Were you aware that he had ride time, and that's why you started pushing the pace? And I think you took 3 shots and forcing a stall call there.
Yeah. So in the third period, I went neutral because I got rode out pretty hard in the second period, and so the score was 4-4. He had 1:38 of riding time. So I knew either way I was going to have to get a takedown to win. So I wanted to push the pace a little bit. I almost got a takedown, and he kind of scrambled out of it. We went back to our feet. I think there was about 45 seconds left, and I think that was about the time where I knew I had to turn it on a little bit. So I pushed the pace a little bit, ended up getting a stall call, which put me up 5-4. But knowing he had riding time, we'd go into overtime if I didn't score. And then when I got that stall call, he opened up a little bit, took a shot, and I was able to capitalize on it for the winning takedown.
Then there was a little bit of downtime to Binghamton. We had to make that drive. After that big win, you could celebrate, but you couldn't really because you had another big bout. But that's just going to be like NCAA. So I think that prepares you kind of take a second, realize the win, but then, hey, I got another one coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a few. I was able to talk to the coaches a little bit, and the message was the same. It's a good win, but there's still work to be done, and there's another one coming up tonight. So I was able to kind of treat it in my mind. I was thinking I kind of treated it like the NCAA tournament where that was the quarterfinal match, and I had to come back and win the semifinals that night. So that was something I was kind of thinking in my mind, and after the Cornell match, I was just getting locked in for the match with DePrez later.
So it's off to Binghamton, number 4 DePrez. You beat him in extra time, 2-1. Very different wrestler. I would say he's a lot like you, strong in the upper body. Neither one of you got a takedown during regulation. I had to joke. I saw the video. Did you know the rules of overtime?
Yeah, I know the rules. It was a little weird with the riding time. I wasn't quite sure what the call was at first. But after the match, it's definitely the right call at the riding time. The stall call when he didn't stop the match was a little alarming to me because I wasn't sure. When you're in the match, you can't really hear much, so I wasn't sure if he gave me two stall calls or one. So that was a little alarming, but I knew after I think that 30-second ride for me was huge, not giving up the point. And then when it was my turn to go down, I knew I had to get out. So he was definitely really tough, and like you said, he's definitely more like I am than Darmstadt was. So I got a pretty good mix of styles that day, but I had to be ready for a fight, and I was, and he brought it. And I think when you're in those matches and things aren't really working for you, and you're trying to find answers for takedowns and you're not getting them, it just comes down to having to be gritty. And I think towards the end in overtime, when both guys are tired, I kind of resort back to being in those same situations in practice. I know we've gone over this. I've been in these situations where we're doing short time and I got to get out to win and I'm tired. So I had that experience from practice, and Pat puts us through those situations all the time. So when it was my time to go down, I knew I had to get out and I was ready for it.
That first tiebreaker, if you had a stall call on you, do you still think you would have hung on to get the stall call, or would you have just let him out of that to not give up an extra point?
I definitely would have made a better attempt to climb and get back on top a little bit more. But I think that's huge is not having a stall call going into the riding times or into the tiebreaker. So, you can use that as a last resort.
And then he, like you said, he started the third on top, or the extra one on top. He got to your leg one, forced a stall call. Second time he goes back down to your leg. Were you thinking the same thing's going to happen? He's just going to hold on, or how did you kick out of that second one?
Yeah, so I knew I had to I need to create a little bit of space because I knew he could go back down to my leg, and there was short time, and he could kind of hold on to go back up on our feet. So I wanted to make something happen, and he threw a leg in, and I did a rule that we work on a lot, and it didn't work work perfectly, but it created just enough space so I could get to my feet and kick out for the win. So that was something that was big, and I think just trusting in that I was going to get out and being confident was huge.
All right, back here in Raleigh, we're about to head out for Thanksgiving break. Where do the Hidlay brothers go for Thanksgiving?
We will be going to my Aunt Mindy's house. Sometimes we kind of alternate sometimes we're at my house, sometimes we're at my aunt's. But there's definitely going to be a lot of food and a lot of family, and that's something I'm really thankful for. And I'm excited to see everybody and just relax for a few days or a day or two, and eat a lot of food and have fun with the family.
Are you allowed to have a Hidlay turkey bowl?
Yeah, I can eat whatever I want as long as I work out enough afterwards.
I mean, actually, the football. I'm actually talking about. Are you guys allowed to play football?
I'm going to try not to play football.
Okay. That might be smart this year.
Probably because if we did, somebody would get hurt in the family. I don't know what the injury would be, but it probably wouldn't end up good.
How do you balance that? Eating, making weight, coming back to Raleigh. What's your game plan going in?
The coaches talked to us a little bit yesterday at practice. We're going to have a really good week, a few days of training here, and then pretty much on Thursday they pretty much want us to just enjoy ourselves and take off and relax and have fun with our family. But I mean, we know that we should be working out on our own, and they trust us enough to know what we're doing and keep our weight in check. Because next week we leave for Vegas, and it's going to be short travel and weigh in on Friday. So I think it just comes down to if you're disciplined and you know what you want, and you know if you want to perform well next week, then you should be taking care of your weight and getting good workouts in. So I know Hayden and I will be back home. We'll have fun, but we'll still be training and working out and getting ready for next week.
You mentioned Las Vegas Cliff Keen Invitational, December 6th through December 7th. And I think it's very safe to say 184, it might be the most loaded weight class. I don't know if you've looked ahead, but it looks like there's 7 of the top 10 guys in your weight class going to be out there. Another huge opportunity for yourself.
Yeah, and like you said, it's an opportunity. I had a good weekend here, and now my mindset is that I'm 0-0 going into next week. I still have a lot to prove to myself, and I'm still using the mentality that I'm the underdog. My back's up against the wall. I got to fight for everything. So a lot of good guys and competition is going to be at this tournament, and both guys I beat last weekend are going to be there trying to knock me off again. So and the top wrestler in the country is going to be there. So I think it's another opportunity for me to keep getting better and see where I stack up against the rest of the weight class and compete for a title. Also a great opportunity for our team to see where I'm at, to see where we're at. I think we're clicking on all, firing all cylinders right now. We're starting to find our stride. So I'm really excited to see how we compete next week. And I know all the coaches and the guys on the team are excited too.
Trent, thanks for joining us another episode of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Go enjoy Thanksgiving. Just be careful what you eat.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Go Pack.
Mentality Pop-Ins podcast is produced by the Mat Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, go to MatTalkOnline.com.